Hello and welcome to the English Listen Lab. Today, we dive into the mind-blowing story of Nikolai, a boy from Russia who shocked the world when he claimed he wasn't from Earth, but from Mars. Sounds crazy, right? Well, hold on. Nikolai described ancient Martian civilizations, space travel, and hidden secrets about Earth. And somehow, science started proving him right. Is he telling the truth? Is this a trick? Or is there something bigger going on? Let's find out in The Boy Who Remembered Mars. Chapter 1. The Boy with the Strange Memory. Nikolai was a regular kid. Well, almost. He did normal things, ate ice cream, ran around with friends, and accidentally broke things. Sorry, Mom. But there was one problem. Since he could talk, Nikolai told weird stories. Not about cartoons or superheroes. No, he talked about flying spaceships, about huge Martian cities, about a war that destroyed his home. His parents laughed. Such a big imagination. What got is speedy? But Nikolai wasn't joking. Chapter 2. I lived on Mars. One day at school, the teacher asked, "Where do humans come from?" The kids shouted, "Earth!" "Monkeys! Aliens!" Okay, maybe not aliens. Then Nikolai stood up. "I'm not from Earth. I lived on Mars." Silence. Total silence. The teacher blinked. "Excuse me?" Nikolai nodded. "I remember everything. We had huge cities, powerful energy, and spaceships that could travel between planets in minutes." The classroom erupted with laughter, but Nikolai didn't laugh. Chapter 3. The details no one could explain. At first, people ignored him. It's just a kid making up stories. But then, things got weird. Nikolai described things no 6-year-old should know. He talked about Martian technology, energy sources that didn't exist on Earth, yet. He knew scientific facts about space, things that were later confirmed by NASA. Even scientists started paying attention. How did he know all this? Was this a memory, or just a very lucky guess? Chapter 4. The Warning About Earth. One day, Nikolai's parents asked, "Why are you telling these stories?" His answer, chilling. "Because the same thing will happen to Earth." "What do you mean?" they asked. Nikolai took a deep breath. Mars was like Earth once, green, full of life. But there was a war, a disaster. We destroyed everything. His voice shook. And now, Earth is going the same way. His parents stared. Was this just a story or a warning? Chapter 5. Science starts catching up. Years passed. Scientists kept discovering things that matched Nikolai's words. Evidence that Mars might have had water, traces of ancient rivers and lakes, signs that something big wiped out life on the planet. People started asking, was he telling the truth all along? But the real question was, if he was right about the past, was he right about the future? Chapter 6. The Secret of the Spaceships. One night, a journalist interviewed Nikolai. "If you're from Mars, how did you get here?" Nikolai smiled. "We had spaceships. They were faster than light." The journalist laughed. "That's impossible." But Nikolai shook his head. "Not for us. We used magnetic energy to bend space. That's why I don't need a rocket to remember Mars." His words sounded crazy. But years later, scientists started studying the same idea. Was he guessing or remembering? Chapter 7. The Strange Connection to the Pyramids. One day, a historian visited Nikolai. "Tell me about Mars." Nikolai's eyes lit up. "We had huge pyramids, just like Egypt." The historian nearly fell off his chair. "Wait, how do you know that?" Nikolai blinked. "Because we built them. They were energy centers." The historian gasped. Some researchers believed the same thing. Was there really a connection between Mars and Earth's pyramids? And if so, who built them first? Chapter 8. The Message from the Stars. One evening, Nikolai told his parents, "I have a message." They leaned in. "A message? From who?" Nikolai pointed up. "From them?" His parents shivered. "Them?" He nodded. "The ones watching us." His voice turned serious. "Earth is at a crossroads. If we make the same mistakes as Mars, we will lose everything. His parents laughed nervously. It's just a story, right? But deep inside, they weren't sure. Chapter 9: The Science That Followed. As Nikolai grew up, more and more scientists found evidence that Mars might have been like Earth long ago. Frozen lakes, ancient rivers, maybe even life. And some of the things Nikolai talked about started making sense. Could a civilization have once lived there? And if so, where did they go? Chapter 10: The Final Question. One day, a researcher asked Nikolai, "Do you remember dying on Mars?" Nikolai was quiet for a moment. Then he whispered, "I remember leaving." The room went cold. "Leaving?" The researcher asked. "To where?" Nikolai looked up, his eyes shining. "You already know." And with that, he walked away. The end? Or just the beginning? Was Nikolai telling the truth? Was he proof of something bigger than we can imagine? Or was it just the greatest story ever told? Maybe one day we'll find out. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more mind-blowing English listening practice. See you in the next episode.